So if I could ask you just to tone down the volume a little more, we will begin. So Armand, you shared with me that you used to live on the streets for, was it 3 years?
No. When I was on the streets, I was literally on the streets for 4.5 years straight. 4.5 years straight. That's spring, summer, winter, fall. Within that time frame, my health went down pretty drastically. A lot of it was due to all the using and the drugs, whatever else I had to do to survive on the streets. It was not fun, especially in the winter with those freezing cold rains, like the fall at night when it's just, you are looking around, scrounging around for cardboard or something just to lie on, just to try to get a good night's sleep. Not knowing where your next meal's gonna come from, so forced to go into sneak into stores and steal whatever you can and hope you don't get caught.
And like, what was it, if there was a singular thing, what was the catalyst that made you go from at some point obviously living in a home, right, and then ending up on the streets, like in a nutshell? Was there a particular catalyst?
So what happened was, the way I ended up on the streets is through my first marriage. My first marriage did not go well at all. At the time, me and her, I don't want to go into any names because it's just...
Yeah, we'll keep that part private.
Yeah, but what happened was, it was just not working out. It was toxic from the very beginning. From the very beginning, it was just desperate, and I originally met her in a place called Campbell Valley, while I was in a place called Wagner Hills Farm. For those of you that are not familiar with Campbell Valley and Wagner Hills, Campbell Valley is a discipleship for all females only, and Wagner Hills is a discipleship for male only.
So was that relationship was so bad, it kind of forced you out, like literally in every way. Yeah. And I remember when you were telling me, you said when you were living on the streets, like it was not safe. You got into a lot of fights at the time. You were pretty severely injured a few of the times. So that must have been very difficult.
Oh man, I don't even know where to start with that. Like being on the streets, really hard in my heart. Like I did not know what to do, nor did I care what I was going to do. Whether I was hurting myself, anybody around me, whatever it was, if it didn't benefit me, I wanted no part of it. I've gotten into a lot of fights. I've been shot at multiple times. I've been stabbed at multiple times. There was one time where I was critically injured. I think that was the first time, actually, I ended up in the hospital. And I didn't really know what was going on, and I didn't really care. Once I got out, if I was going to survive it, thinking in my head, if I was going to survive, once I get out, I'm going to find whoever, and I was going to get revenge. Which didn't end up going well, because it just, by the time I got out of there, the one I wanted to get revenge on just was nowhere around anymore, so it caused me to spend, I guess, another year or so working for that person on the streets, and that's why it led up to like 4.5 years.
So quite a long time. And I remember I asked you, because you had shared with me that there were some Christian people, and they would come, you said, about once a week, hand out sandwiches, talk. And I remember something you said that I'll never forget. You said that made me feel human. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, okay, so, like, being on the streets, you never know where your next meal's gonna come. So, when I had people come out from a church to hand out sandwiches and soup, I was like, it was like I won the lottery because for once I was surrounded by what I didn't know was love. I didn't know what love was, nor did I really care about it. I just knew I was getting food, and I felt like a person because when you're on the streets, especially for as long as I have, when you have raggedy clothes, full of holes, and no place to really shower, you have people always looking down on you, who would much rather want to spit on you, which has happened multiple times to me. People just constantly spitting, constantly like throwing bottles of urine at me, and like these little firecracker things. As they're driving by, they're launching it at you.
So basically, they're treating you like a stray dog.
Yeah.
They're trying to like make the dog go away.
Well, yeah. Well, technically, if I want to get technical, it was worse than stray dog.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it was really bad. So it was greatly appreciated for me when people came around and actually talked to me and stuff. There's been multiple times where they offered we could like go and spend the night at their place or have a decent meal at their place or a shower and stuff. But me being all prideful and everything, I was just like, no, like, I want that. I'll take the food that you're handing me, but I don't want any part of that.
And what was it that you would say you began to, whether it was on the streets or at Wagner Hills, at what point in your life did you start to see that God, A, was real, B, actually really loved you, he had a plan, had a purpose for your life? Like, at what point in time did that become obvious to you?
That's a hard one because I was really blinded by a lot of things. They were showing me that the whole time, and I just didn't see it at the time. And when it really took effect is when someone actually came. It was a lady and her husband, so it was actually an elderly couple,
Yeah.
and they had some new clothes for me, a sleeping bag, a nice pillow, and they ended up giving me $500 cash, which was surprising because no one does that on the streets. Because
Yeah.
when the people see you on the streets, they think you're only going to use it for one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
But I actually talked to them, and they told me about a church that they were going to. And it just so happened it was the church that handed out the sandwiches.
Yeah.
So what happened was they ended up praying for me right there on the spot. After I asked them, like, why are you treating me like that, like a human? I'm not used to this. This is, are you trying to like scam me or something? Like, this is all bad thoughts that were going through my head, right? Because I was so blind to it. So one night, of course, yeah, it was actually the night service, Christmas night service, I believe. And they came and they specifically looked for me. They knew where I generally hung out or slept, which was in a park. When it wasn't raining, it was just a nice cover. So that's where I would go when it's not raining or anything. It's just sleep on a park on a bench because that was more comfortable than lying on the ground on cardboard. So they ended up finding me, and they invited me to go with them to a dinner.
At their church?
At their church. It was for the Christmas service. So then there was the service, which was about maybe an hour and a half. And that's where they prayed for me again. They took me and introduced me to the head pastor. And then they all prayed on it over me constantly. And then there was like a feeling that I've never felt before. And that is when I knew it was something that I couldn't quite get, but then they told me, that's the Lord doing.
Yeah, that's the Holy Spirit, yeah.
Your heart is softened.
Yeah.
Didn't know what they meant by that because I'm still prideful and cautious, but it felt right.
Yeah. So that was the beginning, in a sense, the beginning of everything. Yeah. And I remember you also mentioned that at Wagner Hills, I don't know if you guys know this, they actually give people who go there full skills, and I believe you said you were fully trained as a chef, is that right?
Yeah, so Wagner Hills, with it being a discipleship, they basically help you go through they train you life skills. They teach you life skills. The main thing that they taught me was how to cook, which is something I dreaded due to the fact that back when I was younger, that was a punishment my dad used to do to me.
He made you cook if you were bad?
He would force me to go in the kitchen with him. I didn't have a choice. If I wanted to eat a meal that night, I was forced to go in there, kitchen, cook whatever. So I hated the idea of cooking. So it was a little iffy when they got me in the kitchen skills. Now, funny thing about Wagner Hills is when they know it's something that you don't like or that you're uncomfortable with, they will put you in that position on purpose just so you can grow.
Just kind of to break maybe the obstinance or the pride, right? Like a hurdle that you're overcoming.
Yeah, like a Mustang being broken.
Yes.
That's what it's like.
Yeah. So it's an amazing, like, again, when you shared your things there, I lived on the streets, you got in so many fights, you went to Wagner Hills, you came out, you were certified, you got married, you got a job. Were you baptized as well in your church?
Yeah, now I was baptized a total of 3 times in my life by water. The first 2 times I didn't quite understand the whole process, even though I took the classes. But I got baptized anyways, just because I seen everybody was doing it. I'm like, I want that. So what happened was I just got baptized like twice. When I officially got baptized, which was 2019, which was before my current wife now, my wife now. We got baptized together.
Oh wow, that's wonderful.
And the reason we did that was the offer was there for other people in our church to go be baptized. But I've been homeless on the streets and prideful before. So people weren't picking it up. They were, I guess, afraid of prideful. They were afraid of the commitment. So me and my wife, we got baptized together just to show that, hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's not gonna hurt you. It's a start of a beautiful beginning.
That's awesome. Guys, can you give a round of applause to Armand for sharing his story? It takes a lot of courage and to put yourself out there and to share everything that you've been through is powerful. And I really feel like from the moment you shared that with me like 6 weeks ago, I was so struck by the transformation. So I wanted everyone here to hear. And also something Armand said to me over a month ago. He said to me, if I can change like this, anybody can. And not only do I believe that, I know Armand believes that too. So we're here because community dinner, of course it's about food. also about understanding that God invites us to transformation. He doesn't demand it, He invites us. And Armand is a powerful, powerful living tribute and testimony to that reality. So I just want to thank you for coming up and sharing this.
Yes, no problem. But yeah, like, and everybody, it's really important that we grasp this. Not many of us are like me at one point. A lot of us out there is afraid and prideful, and I was the worst out of the worst. So if I can change, you can change, you can change, you can change, anybody can change, and that's I'm a living proof of this.